Justice. Just last week, the Floyd family, in conjunction with the Society of Black Lawyers and the Pan-African Lawyers Union, among other pressure groups, petitioned the African Union to push for reforms in the training of police officers to uphold human rights and dignity. Now, on the show today, we are privileged to host Mr. Benjamin Cramp, U.S. civil rights attorney representing the Floyd family. He is joining us live via Zoom from the United States. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here on Bottomline Africa.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Kenya.
Good afternoon, sir. We say Karibu Sana here. Now, straight on, sir, has the death of George Floyd, did it reawake the ghosts of racism that were witnessed in the days of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Absolutely, and I'm so happy to be talking with the people of Kenya on behalf of the family of George Floyd and the solidarity for equality, the fact that Black Lives Matter all over the world. And I'm so thankful to Judge Peter Herbert, our Justice Ambassador in Kenya. The family of George Floyd stands in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Africa.
Now, sir, talk to us about this lawsuit that you are filing against the Minneapolis and the police.
Yes, yesterday we filed a federal wrongful death civil rights lawsuit because it was not only the knee of Officer Derek Chauvin on the neck of George Floyd for 8 minutes and 46 seconds that killed him, it was also the knee of the entire Minneapolis Police Department that killed him, because they have a history of policies and procedures and deliberate indifference to arrestees that violates their constitutional rights, especially those of Black men in America. So that is the basis that we document all of these injustices in this lawsuit.
Now, sir, we did see a lot of protests against, racial injustice and police brutality. But then do you believe we would have come this far were it not for the protests? Because they spread across the globe, I would say, even here in Kenya, under the hashtag Black Lives Matter. So do you believe the protests contributed in a way?
Absolutely. I think the protests, not only all across America, but all across the world, the protests in Nairobi, when you all were chanting Black Lives Matter, it matters, because we have to have two battles, one in the court of public opinion and a second in the court of law. And the fact that people all across the globe are saying, until we get justice for George Floyd, none of us can breathe.
So let's talk about these 4 police officers, and especially Derek Chauvin, whom we all saw in that video clip that went viral. Do you still believe the charges preferred against him should have been that of first-degree murder?
Well, Attorney General Keith Ellison, who is the first African American to be elected as Attorney General for the state of Minnesota, is prosecuting the case. The family and I have confidence that he's going to zealously prosecute this case. Yesterday, more audio from the body camera videos came out that show just the inhumanity, the disrespect, the lack of just any morals by the police to this unarmed Black man who was face down, handcuffed, and a knee on his neck, 2 knees in his back, and he said, "I can't breathe," more than 28 times, and he called for his mama 7 times, and it just goes to the fact that the fullest extent of the law that they can charge these killer cops with, they should, because we have to set a precedence that America believes in equal justice for all. The whole world is watching, and we're asking the question, America, do you believe that Black lives matter?
And they do. They matter. Now, those words, "I can't breathe," in my research, I found out that they've been uttered by dozens of African Americans. In fact, there's been about 32 fatal police encounters since the year 2010, and at least 134 people have died in police custody in the past decade alone. What are your thoughts regarding that?
Well, we are in a public health crisis all over the world with the coronavirus pandemic. But Black people in America, we have a public health crisis with the pandemic of police brutality. There was a recent study in the American Journal of Public Health that found that Black men were 3.5 times more likely to be killed by the police than white men. And so it rings hollow when President Trump says, well, the police kill more white men, white people. Well, you have to put those statistics in context. There are 13% of the population that are Black in America, and white people make up 73% of the population in America. So you have to put it in context when you start sprouting out these statistics. You have to look at the fact how many people are being killed by the police who are unarmed and how many people are being killed that were armed. Now, what are their racial dynamics? So that's what we have to always strive to do, speak truth to power and not try to sweep the lives of Black people under the rug. That seemed to be the suggestion the other day when he said the police kill more white people in America. That's simply a mischaracterization of what the real public health crisis is.
But then again, sir, there's been few repercussions to these officers who commit this heinous act. Only some of them are sent on, leave, and this is pending investigations, and only a few face the criminal charges. What do you have to say about that?
Well, obviously, representing Trayvon Martin back in 2012, we saw the continuous pattern in America that when white people kill Black people in America, there was a question of whether they would be held accountable. Well, since Trayvon Martin, there's been Michael Brown, there's been Sandra Bland, there's been Eric Garner, so many other hashtags Black Lives Matter where people were not held accountable. So that's why this George Floyd case is so very important, so we can send the message to the world that we really do believe in Thomas Jefferson's words. We really do believe in the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equally, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that amongst them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, America, I know you can quote it. The question is, do you really believe it?
Indeed. How far are we in the quest for justice, for people of color who face all this in the hands of people who are supposed to be protecting them? I am aware that you have so far won about 200 police brutality suits, including those of the families of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, and currently you're actually representing the family of Ahmaud Arbery, who we also, because that also did trend on social media, the man who was shot when he was out jogging. But then, how far are we in achieving justice for particularly people of color?
Well, as Attorney Jasmine Rand and I were discussing and strategizing, we know that African Americans, people of African descent, are recognized by the African Union and the diaspora as the sixth region of Africa. And so with this title that they've given me, Black America's Attorney General, we look forward to coming to put forth the case before the African Union and ask that you all join us in making sure there's equal justice for Black people in America. We know that in following the Kenya's motto, may the justice be our shield and defender, and may we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. And so we need our brothers and sisters in Africa standing with us, African people in America. And I look forward to making sure that we have people in America standing for important causes with our brothers and sisters in Africa, all across Africa. And it's important that we have solidarity. We are one.
Indeed, sir. Let's go back to the George Floyd case now. And of course, I know it is a matter that is in court. But let's talk about the outcome of the protests so far. I know there is a tentative trial date for March the 8th of 2021 for the 4 police officers. But what has been the impact of the protests that continued for days?
Well, the protest is great. The protest continues even now in different cities in America. I also represent Breonna Taylor, a young woman who was killed by the Louisville Metropolitan Police in her own apartment. So they're all talking and protesting all of these tragedies, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. And the protests are multicultural, multi-generational, multi-financial status, multi-geographic. You have Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native Americans all coming together, marching in the streets. And there are a lot of people who say, well, it's these young protesters that are causing these cities to be burning all across America. I object to that. It is not the protesters that cause the fires to start burning in America. It is police brutality and a racist criminal justice system that caused the cities to start burning all across America. And it's going to take police accountability and equal justice under the law to extinguish these fires. We can't have two justice systems in America, one for Black America and one for white America. We must have equal justice for all the citizens in the United States of America.
So lastly, let me get your reaction on this whole thing, police brutality, because it's not just in America, it is experienced everywhere, even here in Kenya. And now this case, it's not on the African Americans, it's black on black. Actually, at around this period of the COVID-19 pandemic, we had various restrictions that were enforced, a curfew, a lockdown, and about 20 people have died, and those deaths are associated with the curfew enforcement. Let me get your view on this police brutality that is meted out on people globally.
Yes, what we have learned after this video has been seen 1 billion times around the world of the horrific death of George Floyd, that it's not just people in America saying that racism is wrong. It's people all across the globe saying racism is wrong. It's not just people in America that's saying colorism is wrong. It's people all across the globe that's saying colorism is wrong. It's not just people in America that's saying xenophobia is wrong. It's people all across the globe saying that xenophobia is wrong. And it's not just people in America saying that torture is wrong. It's people all around the world marching in protest saying torture is wrong, because George Floyd was tortured to death saying, I can't breathe. And when George Floyd couldn't breathe, none of us could breathe.
You're right. George Floyd couldn't breathe. None of us could breathe. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Benjamin Cramp, a U.S. civil rights attorney representing the Floyd family. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We do appreciate and we're privileged to have you on this show. So we're taking a short break here on Bottomline Africa.